Ambassador Zenth IV had delivered the verdict with all the ceremony befitting a species that had ruled the galaxy for 3 millennia. The holographic projection of the Galactic Council chamber flickered in Earth's orbital station, showing representatives from 47 civilizations seated in their crystalline pods, their various appendages, tentacles, and energy fields all focused on the small blue world below. The species designated as humanity is hereby declared incompatible with galactic civilization, Zenth IV intoned, their voice a harmonic blend that had once moved entire star systems to compliance. Earth is quarantined. No trade, no communication, no technological exchange. This verdict is final. Captain Sarah Chen watched the transmission end with the same expression she'd worn when her daughter took her first steps, pride mixed with the knowledge that everything was about to change. Around her, the command crew of Orbital Platform Alpha maintained their positions, but she could feel the weight of their stares. "Well," she said, turning to face her officers, "I guess that's that." The reasoning had been predictable. Humanity was too aggressive, too unpredictable, too prone to violence. They pointed to Earth's history of warfare, their tendency to solve problems through conflict rather than consensus. The Council had observed humanity for 50 years since first contact, and their conclusion was unanimous. Humans were a threat to galactic peace. What the Council hadn't understood was that they'd just given humanity exactly what it had always craved: a challenge. Within 6 months, every major space agency on Earth had been consolidated into the Human Expansion Initiative. The quarantine had cut off access to alien technology, but it had also freed humanity from the bureaucratic constraints of galactic law. No more waiting for council approval for experimental drives, no more restrictions on military research, no more limits. Dr. James Morrison, formerly a xenobiologist studying council-approved specimens, found himself leading the most ambitious reverse engineering project in human history. His team had dissected every piece of alien technology they'd acquired during the brief period of contact, from gravity manipulators to quantum communication arrays. The fascinating thing, Morrison explained to the initiative's board, is that their technology is elegant, efficient, and completely unimaginative. They've achieved near perfection in their designs, which means they've stopped innovating entirely. The first breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A teenage hacker named Elena Vasquez had been tinkering with the quantum communicator from an abandoned council embassy. While the aliens used it for instantaneous communication across light years, Elena discovered it could do something else entirely: fold space. Within 2 years, humanity had developed their first FTL drive. It was crude, dangerous, and required a fusion reactor the size of a city block to operate. The Council's drives were elegant crystalline matrices that hummed with contained power. Humanity's prototype screamed like a banshee and occasionally set things on fire. It was also 3 times faster than anything in the galaxy. The Defiant launched on a crisp October morning, carrying a crew of 200 volunteers on humanity's first interstellar journey since the quarantine. Their destination, Kepler 442b, a world the Council had marked as under development by the Threx Collective. Captain Chen, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, watched from Earth as the ship's drive engaged. Space didn't just bend around the Defiant. It seemed to crumple like paper, and then the ship was gone, leaving only a fading afterimage and several very confused Council monitoring stations. The Defiant reached Kepler 442b in 3 weeks. The T Threx had been terraforming it for 2 centuries, following council protocols that would take another 500 years to complete. The human crew spent 2 days analyzing the planet before Captain Rodriguez sent his report back to Earth. The Threx are using atmospheric processors that work at a glacial pace, Rodriguez reported, with some modifications to their design. And our industrial fabrication methods, we could finish the terraforming in 50 years instead of 500. Also, their cities are really boring. No offense to any Threx listening in. The Threx, it turned out, had been listening in. The first diplomatic contact since quarantine came not from the Council, but from collective First Hive Singer Threz, personally. Your species was declared outcast. Threz communicated through quantum bursts that the human communications array barely managed to decode. Yet, you offer assistance? We were declared outcast, Rodriguez replied. Doesn't mean we have to be assholes about it. The partnership between humanity and the Threx Collective began with terraforming technology and evolved into something the galaxy had never seen before. While the Council maintained order through rigid bureaucracy and the threat of quarantine, humanity and the Threx developed something different, voluntary cooperation between species that actually enjoyed each other's company. Within a decade, the Human-Threx Alliance had grown to include 12 other species. All of them had one thing in common. They'd been deemed problematic by the Council at some point. The warrior poets of Sigma Draconis who wrote epic ballads about their battles. The Crystalline Collective who insisted on making art instead of just manufacturing tools. The nomadic void wanderers who refused to settle down and be properly cataloged. They called themselves the Outcast Alliance, and they were having the time of their lives. The Council finally took notice when human-designed ships began appearing in their space, not as invaders, but as traders and explorers, carrying goods and technologies that shouldn't have existed. Ships that moved faster than physics allowed, powered by reactors that ran on controlled stellar fusion, crewed by species that were supposed to be primitive and scattered. Ambassador Zenth 4 requested a meeting with Admiral Chen aboard the newly constructed Deep Space Station Odyssey. The station hung in space at the edge of the galaxy like a metallic flower, its rotating sections housing representatives from 30 species that had never been allowed to meet under Council law. Your species was quarantined, Zenth 4 said, their harmonic voice tight with something that might have been confusion. How have you achieved this expansion? Chen smiled, the expression that had once made her daughter laugh and now made galactic ambassadors nervous. You told us we couldn't play by your rules, she said, so we made our own game. The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. In trying to contain humanity's chaotic influence, the Council had inadvertently created the first real alternative to their 3,000-year hegemony. The Outcast Alliance wasn't interested in conquest or control. They were interested in exploration, innovation, and the simple joy of seeing what was possible when different species worked together without a bureaucracy telling them what they couldn't do. As Zenth 4's ship departed, broadcasting emergency council sessions and urgent diplomatic reviews, Admiral Chen looked out at the stars that had once seemed so distant and hostile. Humanity had been declared incompatible with galactic civilization. They'd taken the hint and built a better one. The stars, it turned out, had plenty of room for everyone willing to reach for them.